Scrap Mechanic is a creative sandbox game that has unique vehicle building mechanics, and with the release of the highly anticipated survival mode in 2020, the game got the attention of players worldwide. It was a perfect release at the perfect time, with the pandemic driving its player count up by over 11 times. Shortly after the release of Chapter 1, Axelot Games announced Chapter 2, promising a massive expansion of new enemies, challenges, and areas to explore. Fans were amazed at the thought of even more content to the game's survival experience. But as months turned to years, the initial excitement turned to frustration. Communication from the developers became a distant memory. Promises were broken and the player base started to abandon the game altogether. It's a story that mirrors the struggles of other highly anticipated games like Hollow Knight Silksong. But while Team Cherry managed to maintain fan excitement through silence, Axelot Games' poor communication may have led to Scrap Mechanic's decline. In this video, we'll explore what went wrong, examine the mistakes Axelot made, and compare to how other games like Silksong and No Man's Sky handle similar challenges. But before we go into the issues, let's take a look at what Scrap Mechanic was like before survival mode even launched. Scrap Mechanic entered early access on January 20, 2016. From the start, Axelot Games maintained a steady stream of communication with fans. Devlogs were released roughly every 3 months, giving players some insight into the development process. Survival mode wasn't a new idea. It had been teased as early as 2015 with concept art of the crash ship the player spawns in during the beginning of the survival mode. Each devlog added new and exciting features from pools and blocks to major mechanics, building anticipation for what was to come. In late 2015, the game's Steam page went live, and a release date for early access was announced, January 20, 2016. Fans were impressed by the transparency and consistent updates, and the small but loyal player base grew as a result. Survival mode development was slow but still promising. By 2020, players were amazed when Axelot Games announced the mode would launch in the first half of the year. Though delayed by a month because of the pandemic, the wait was worth it. When survival mode dropped, it brought an entirely new dimension to the game, giving players even more things to do. It seemed like Scrap Mechanic was on a path to success, but issues started to show soon after. The first sign came shortly after the release of Chapter 1. In May 2020, Axelot announced Chapter 2, which promised new enemies, mechanics, and areas. The announcement was met with excitement, but the developers soon fell silent. Devlogs became non-existent, and when updates did arrive, they offered little meaningful information. For fans used to transparency, this change was disappointing. Delays began to pile up, and the community was left in the dark about the state of Chapter 2. Compare this to Hollow Knight Silksong. Announced in 2019, Silksong has faced similar long delays, but Team Cherry's reputation and the quality of the original game has kept fans engaged. Their silence has built excitement instead of disappointment. By the time Devlog 25 announced a big release window of 2023 for Chapter 2, players weren't so trusting of it. Axelot's failure to manage expectations and maintain engagement caused excitement to disappear, and the game's player base began to go away too as a result. Compare this with No Man's Sky. After a disastrous launch, Hello Games rebuilt its reputation by delivering consistent and meaningful updates. Transparency and over-delivering on promises turned No Man's Sky into one of the most beloved sandbox games. Had Axelot followed a similar path, Scrap Mechanic's community might still be here to this day. The consequences of Axelot's missteps can be seen everywhere. Steam reviews, Reddit threads, and YouTube comments are filled with frustrated fans commenting on the lack of communication. The player base has gone away along with the excitement for Chapter 2. From my own experience, Scrap Mechanic was a game that inspired endless creativity. I spent hours building machines, exploring survival mode, and was excited for what Chapter 2 might bring. But as the years went on, it became harder to stay with the game. This disappointment highlights the importance of managing expectations. Games like Silksong and No Man's Sky show that delays don't have to be the end. By maintaining transparency and delivering on promises, developers can keep their communities engaged and excited. Scrap Mechanic's story is a cautionary tale for game developers. While delays are often unavoidable, Poor communication and broken promises can break even the most loyal fans. The wait for Chapter 2 has been too long, and Axelot's mismanagement has turned what could have been excitement into frustration. As a fan, I still believe in Scrap Mechanic's future. It's a game that brought creativity and joy to countless players, myself included, but it's clear that things need to change. Axelot must learn from the successes of other games to rebuild trust and bring the community back together. If you enjoyed this video and want to see something similar, click right here.